Okay, we are starting J3, your black learning log. Open up to a new spelling section. You can do J-3. We're going to do the first column today, the first 10 words. And make sure to go every other, so either the white or the blue, so you can do your red markings. J-3. It asks us to review some phonograms. So let's do that first, okay? There we go. You ready? The of her. Ch, k, sh. All that we may use at the end of English words. All that we may not use at the end of English words. R. Ow, o, oo, J. 3-letter J. Or. Sh. And A, 2-letter A, that we may use at the end of English words. So the first one today is wind or wind. I'm saying this 2 different words, same spelling. And what is that called? Do you remember? A phonograph. It's the same. I'm saying a phonograph. A homograph. Same writing. Okay? So, wind. It was a warm wind that blew through the trees. Wind. Or I could say wind. Please wind up the string before you put it back in the basket. Right? So this rule, I and O may say I and O before 2 consonants. So this is the same spelling, 2 different words. So you could use either of those, I or I. Ready? We're going to do wind. Wind. W-I-N-D. Say it with me. Wind. W-I-N-D. Now let's do the other one. Wind. W-I-N-D. Do it again. Wind. W-I-N-D. Okay, go ahead and write it. Either one, because it's the same spelling. Good. Say it as you write it. Say it for me. So wind or wind. You probably don't even know what this is. A tape. We used to have to wind them up.
Oh, I'm going to say a boombox.
Do we have any red markings? All first sounds. W, I, N, D. Okay, let's do it.
If we do wine, don't we need to have a red marking? So yeah.
You don't, because the rule says I may say I in front of 2 consonants. Yeah. For cursive, W is an uphill letter. Let me pull those out again really quick. So remember in our cursive, we've got clock letters, loop letters, uphill letters, and bump letters. So W is an uphill letter. Up to midline, bump at baseline, up to midline, bump at baseline, and a ponytail for your W. I is also an uphill letter, but we're already up the hill, so we're just going to go down to baseline. N is an uphill letter or a bump letter. If you're doing a bump, it would look like this. I'm just going to do it as an uphill, so up to midline, straight to baseline, bump at midline, and a tail. And then for your D, which is a clock letter, stop at 2 o'clock, come back around straight to the top, down to baseline, and curve, and then dot your I. The next word is race. Slow and steady wins the race, says Robert Lloyd. Race. Okay? Race. R-A-C. Practicing that. Say it with me. Race. R-A-C. Okay? Why do I have a silent E? Remember on Rule 7 it talks about silent E's. Is it the vowel sound changes because of the E? Yep, it's not rack, right? Could it also be that English words do not end, oops, wrong one. English words do not end in C or G? I'm sorry, that's not right. That C says S and G says J in front of an E.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking this last one that was V and U. So either of these reasons is correct, right? Typically we mark the first one. Okay, so go ahead and do race. Say it as you write it. R-A-S. All right, and why do we have that silent E? Underline the A and the E 2 times and an arc between them because the vowel sound changes because of the E. An R is an uphill letter. It goes uphill to midline, down the shelf, and then down to baseline. Your A is a clock letter. Stop at 2 o'clock, come back around to connect, and straight to baseline with a little tail. Up here is an O, so make sure you get all the way to the baseline there. C is a clock letter as well. Stop at 2 o'clock, come back around to baseline and leave it open. And E is a loop letter. Loop at midline, back to baseline, and you've got yourself a race. Want a race? I'm pretty fast. The next one is perch. My bird sat on the perch and sang. Another way to say this is, we went fishing with Grandpa and we caught some perch. Same sound, same writing, different meanings. So that's a what? Homograph, right? Perch. Okay, so ready to do that one? Perch. Perch. Okay, I'm going to try to do it with my correct fingers this time. Ready? Perch. Perch. So we've got some single phonogram, double phonogram, double phonogram. Good job. All right, say it as you write it. Spell it for me. All right, what red markings?
Underline
The of her, and?
arch.
Underline arch. Very good. For your P is an uphill letter and kind of a clock letter too, but stops at 9 o'clock. Remember on our clocks here, just a reminder for cursive. Oh, what happened to my clock? Come back, clock. Okay, false alarm. Remember on our clocks, we have the clock, right? Here's 12 o'clock, here's 3 o'clock, here's 6 o'clock, here's 9 o'clock. When you're doing the clock letters of A and C and D, you go up and you stop at 2 o'clock and you come back around and connect. When you're doing P, you're going up around the clock, but you're coming all the way over to 9 and then swinging out. Okay? So our uphill kind of clock combo. So you go up to the midline, down under the line. Some people do a little loop. Then your clock goes around at 9 o'clock and swings back out. There's your P. Want me to do it again? Up to midline, under the baseline, back around to the clock, stop at 9 o'clock, and swing out. Then for your E, it's a little loop to midline. Your R is an uphill to midline, down the shelf, back to baseline. And then your C is a clock at 2 o'clock, come back around. And your H is a loop letter up top, back to baseline, and a tail. Kind of got that stuck together there. Sorry about that.
Do we need to add this to our page?
Oh, that is a good question. On page B5 and B6, we've got the 7 spellings of the of her, the of church, the of first, the of worship, the of early, and the of... O-U-R. Why is my brain stuck? Journal. And then martyr. Okay, so we have the of her. You can go ahead and add perch to your column. Perch on B5. Good? Got it? All right, the next one is saw. I never saw a dog nor a cat learn to read, says McGuffey. All right. Now remember our ahs when we were going through our phonograms. We had 2 ahs. This top one is the ah that we may use at the end of English words. This bottom one is the ah that we may not use at the end of English words. Okay, so listen to, remember that when we're doing this one. Saw. Ah.
It's also a homograph.
So this is the end of English word. This is also a homograph. Very good, because I could take out my saw and I could saw the log. I saw him with the saw the log. Wow, 3 saws, 3 different meanings. Same as spelling. Homograph, right? Do it with me. Saw, saw. Same as you write it. Spell it. Do we have any red markings?
Yep.
Underline the ah that you may use at the end of English words. Then for cursive, S is an uphill letter. You come straight up, straight down to baseline, bump out at 9 o'clock, and swing out. This is kind of a funny one. You just kind of gotta get a flow there. A is a clock letter. Stop at 2 o'clock, come back around and connect, and straight to the bottom. If I do a ponytail instead of straight to the bottom, what word am I going to spell? Sow the seed, or sow, a female pig, right? So make sure your A comes all the way to baseline, otherwise it's going to look a different word. Then W is an uphill letter, up to midline, bump at baseline, up to midline, bump at baseline, and a ponytail. I saw that you did a good job on that. Tell me how to change that sentence to future tense. I will see that you will do a good job on that. How will I change it to present tense? You could say I am seeing, yep, or you could say I see you do well. But this is our past tense. I saw you do a good job on that. All right, the next one is left. Same thing again, same spelling, could be different meanings, right? We left the bank on Saturday. Or, this is my right hand, this is my left. Same spelling, different meanings. What's it called? Homograph. All right, here we go. Left. Left. Say it with me. Left. Left. Say it as you write it. Very good. Any markings?
No, all first sounds.
All first sounds. All right. L is an uphill letter all the way to the top, all the way to the baseline. E, is a loop letter. E is a loop letter at the midline. F is also a loop letter, up to the top, down underneath, and connect at the baseline. T is an uphill letter, up to the top, down to baseline, pick up your pencil, and cross the T. Left. You guys are doing great. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Got that? Left. The next one is fill. Sign on cement mixer truck. We find and need and fill it. Is fill also a homograph? I dug a hole and now I need to buy fill. You could say dirt. You could say rocks. I will use the fill to fill my hole. So it could have a homograph, okay?
I thought like fill a hole and then like fill P-H-I-L like the name.
Right. The man's name is P-H-I-L. And this is an F, and we also have a rule because we can often double FLS after a single vowel at the end of a base word. So we're not doing one L for Mr. Phil. We're doing Phil. Ooh. Think of those together. They're separate, but we can double them. Okay, say it with me. Phil. Ooh. Do I wiggle after styling? I can't remember. Or just stick it out there. Ooh. Say it as you write it, please.
Ooh.
Sound it out for me.
Ooh.
Good. Now the man's name looks like this. Because this phonogram can say F, and we capitalize it because it's a man's name, but it is not what we're working on currently. Are there any markings?
Nope.
No markings. This is a rule, so we don't have to unnecessarily underline it. And the rest are first sounds. F is an uphill letter. F is a loop letter. We loop to the top, loop under the line, and connect with the baseline. I is an uphill letter, up to midline, back to baseline. L's are loop letters, up to top line, down to baseline, up to top line, down to baseline. Pick up your pencil and dot your I. All right. The next one is part. A fool and his money will soon part. Is this a homograph? Please give me part of the pizza. I'm going to play my part in the play. Can you think of any other definitions for part?
Going to part with my blanket.
My soul is sad because I will part with my blanket. Lots of different meanings for the same word. It's a homograph. All right. So part. Ready? Part. Art. Say it with me. Part. Art. Sorry, mate. This one doesn't play along very well. Say it as you write it.
Art.
Art. Are we having any markings this time?
Yep. Underline R.
Underline R. Now remember when you're saying this, when it's R, see my tongue back there? R. It's not or, it's R. See that, my tongue? R. Way back there. Part. P is our uphill plus clock. Remember we did it in the last one? Got your clock here. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So we're going to uphill to midline, but we're going to come back to that 9 in the clock. So uphill to midline, under the baseline, a little loop if you would like to, clock out to 9 o'clock, and kick out, not quite a tail, but kind of a woo. It's like a little skirt. P and S have skirts on. Your A is a clock letter. Stop at 2 o'clock. Come back around and connect and back down to the baseline. If I don't go to the baseline, if I do a ponytail, am I having a different word? I am. So make sure you're saying part, not port. R is an uphill letter. Down the shelf, back to baseline. And a T is an uphill all the way to the top, down to baseline. Pick up your pencil and cross the T. Part. The next one is group. Be careful not to become entangled with the wrong group. And now I just realized I'm not sure if we did this phonogram. Oh, there we did. Okay. Remember on this one we can go ow like out. We can go O like 4, the number 4. We can go ooh like tour, and we can go like famous. So in this group letter, we are going to use this group of letters, our phonogram. Are we gonna say ow? We're gonna hang out in a group. No. Are we gonna say O like 4? We're gonna hang out in a grope. Oh, don't do that. Grope for light. Where's the rope? Trying to find it. We're doing the third sound, right? The ooh, like, or the, I'm sorry, tour, group, the ooh sound. Okay, so think of this phonogram when you're doing this word, group. Here we go. Group. G, r, oo. Ready? Do it with me. Group. G, r, oop. Say it as you write it.
G, r, oop.
Spell it for me.
G, r, oop.
Any markings?
Yes. Underline our ooh.
Underline our ooh, and what number?
3.
Yep. Number 1 is ow. Number 2 is o. Number 3 is ooh. Number 4 is So that is the group. Is this one a homograph? We've kind of had that theme going this lesson. No. All I can think of for group is things together. The G is a clock letter. Stop at 2 o'clock. Come back around to connect. Under the baseline, back to baseline. It's clock and a loop mixed together. Some people do this a little bit shorter. For the R, it's an uphill letter, down the shelf, then down to baseline. Your O is a clock letter. Stop at 2 o'clock. Come back around to connect. And a ponytail. If I was going to baseline like an A, would that make a word? G-R-A-U-P? Not a word. So make sure you keep it up here at the ponytail. And then a U is an uphill letter, but we're not starting at the baseline since we're already to midline. Bump at baseline, back to midline, back to baseline, and a tail. And then remember your P is an uphill and a clock together. So uphill to the midline, under the line, loop back around, clock to 9 o'clock, and swing it back out. P's are fun. That's our group. This is our group of letters. They work well together. All right, 2 more. Place. A sleeping pill will never take the place of a clear conscience, says E. Cantor. That's kind of dark. Try not to medicate yourself to sleep if you're feeling bad. Clear your conscience first, then you can sleep. All right, so let's think about place. I'm going to sit in my place until it's time. Ready? Place. Place. All right, I'll try it the other way. Do it with me. Place. Place. Good. Say it as you write it. Spell it out for me. Why do we have a silent E? Very similar to our earlier word. We've got two different reasons why we could have a silent E. Rule 7, the first one is the vowel sound changes because of the E, right? Mm-hmm. The third reason is C says and E says J in front of an E. But let's mark the first one. That's the easiest, okay? The vowel sound changes because of the E. Underline your A, 2 under your E, and an arc between them. Remember RPs for your cursive. Our clock and uphill, and a little loop if you want to throw one in there. Okay, so up to the midline, under the baseline, a clock, stop at 9 o'clock and out. L is a loop letter, all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. A is a clock letter, stop at 2 o'clock, come back around and connect, and back down to the baseline. If you don't come all the way around to baseline, is P-L-O-C-E a word? No. Make sure you get to the baseline. C is a clock letter, stop at 2 o'clock, come back around, but do not connect. And your E is a little loop letter at midline. Place. That is the place for this word. Is this a homograph? Place the plate on